Maseches Bava Basra Daf Kuf Samech Gimel. We are already actually in Kuf Samech Gimel Amud Aleph in the middle of the page. Yeah. The Shulu Nishma Sofi Moir Menachem Ben Akiva, Rus Bas Shalom, Sora Bas Moshe, and Rafuas Tzvi Ben Miriam, Shlomo Ben Rachel. And we're not starting the Gemara because we have the 5 minutes of halacha before the Gemara. And actually we're going to learn now Mem Daled, Siman Mem Daled, Seif Daled. Yeah. And we are skipping on purpose 1, 2 Seifim because they are less related to the Gemara that we've learned. Yeah. I'm trying to go more or less Kaseder, but with some kind of connection to the Gemara Shir. So in Mem Daled Daled it says, we said earlier that when you have a shtar, you have to make sure that in the last line of the shtar, you actually review the entire, repeat and review the essence, and you summarize the essence of the shtar, and you're not allowed to add new information. In a shtar, either you add something new, or you are telling me something old, like a synopsis. So you have to do the synopsis. Why? We're choishesh that maybe in the last line, he's going to be mezayif. Right before the edim, the chasimas edim, the edim always leave one line, or many times they leave one empty line between the chasima and the last line, and therefore the chashash is he's going to fill it in, kiyad adimyan, whatever he wants to write, he's going to write over there, chas v'shalom, and that's how we said the last line should always contain something new. We said, should not contain something new. Then we said, well, what happens if you did not follow that rule? Either the shtar is posul, the shtar, and that's what, this is something that we brought down before. The Mechaber said that the shtar is not posul. You just don't learn from that last line if it contains new information. But the Ramos says, yeah, you're right, and this is excluding another opinion that says that the shtar is completely posul, it's just illegal tender. Now, says Shulchan Aruch Siman Daled, Seif Daled, it says, Heicha deksiv be shorir v'kayom. When it says the magic words shorir v'kayom, and that is even shorir v'kayom, it says, even before the last line was mashma from the Gemara before, right? The Shulchan Aruch doesn't say it, but we do know that because that was mashma before, when we discussed the get mekusha. Shorir v'kayom. If it says the word shorir v'kayom, which means what? That everything is. That's it. It's a done deal, point of no return. Anything that's written here, you cannot change anymore. If you wrote past the Shor V'Kayim new information, we don't care because we just don't care about what's written after Shor V'Kayim, and therefore those conditions are just irrelevant. And then Lemeidim Mishita Choino, you can learn from the last line. In other words, Lemeidim Mishita Choino means that what's actually, how do you learn Mishita Choino if it's after the Shor V'Kayim? Because the Eidim saw the whole thing. In other words, if the Eidim are written in the end of the whole shtar, we assume that they saw the Shor V'Kayim, and they also saw the last line, and that's what they signed on. Now maybe he's going to write a new Shor V'Kayim.
You have the Shor V'Kayim.
So
Then you have.
I'm listening.
Extra stuff, and then the Chasimos of the Eidim.
1 second. What I'm trying to say is that when you have Shor V'Kayim, and then you have more information, and then the Eidim saw everything. And once Eidim are Mekuyim, and supposed to be good Eidim, and we know they're good Eidim, or let's say they said that they signed it, or there's a handpick from Beis Din, then they saw everything there. There's no mechikos, nothing looks funny or machuk. Machuk is a different story. So then we know that they actually saw everything. On the other hand, I do have an issue here because if we say that everything past Shor V'Kayim is not relevant, so why do we say that the new information afterwards makes a difference?
And then why do you put Shor V'Kayim?
Right. Elamai must be that the Shor V'Kayim is really at the very end. at the very end, and then you learn from Shita Achroina. That's an easier solution. Although I don't know if that makes sense what we learned from the Gemara before. But Lamaisa, yeah, logically speaking, and from reading the Pasha de Mechaber, the Shavakam should not be in the middle. Really, everything should be written, and then at the very end of the last line you have Shor V'Kayim, and then you can learn from the last line. Why? Because the last line is before Shor V'Kayim. That means that's another security measure. Instead of security measure of last line versus second to last, yeah, we say another security measure. We have the last line with new information. At the end of the last line, we know that it says Shor V'Kayim. So then we know the last line is okay. Yeah. Okay. Beseder? Are you okay? Good. That's a Pashup shot. In this case, you don't have to repeat what the Shtar says in the last line. You're right, 100%. First of all, you write everything. You can even write more information on the last line. I maybe edit it. He didn't edit because since it says after that last insert of the last line, Shor V'Kayim, and the Eidim are after Shor V'Kayim, that means it's very good. So then we don't care what happens in the last line. Now, I do want to talk more about it, but we don't have time because it's already 9:26. So we have to go into the Gemara. Tomorrow, Mr. Hashem, we're going to read another point about this Shor V'Kayim business. Okay, 1 second. Yes. Now we're starting the proper Gemara Shir, Kuf Saf Gimel Amud Aleph. And we are in the middle of the line, in the middle of the page, the line starts with the word Achas. However, I want to repeat the last line from last year because I did not get it right last time. I didn't know. And then Shlomo, you suggested something, and then I rejected it, and then I saw that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. So let's read again about, remember what we spoke about? How big are the two lines? That if there are two lines between the text and the Eidim, let's say there are two lines. Look at that. This is the text of the Shtar. There are two lines. Those two empty spaces are two empty spaces as they are. And here we have two Eidim, first Eid and second Eid. Yeah? Atzola. Yeah? The guy works in Atzola. Yeah? First Eid and second Eid. He's an Atzola, he's an Eid, he does everything. He was one of these people, jack of all trades. What? Yes, also in some stores it says one on top. Let's say don't take this, by the way, as Torah Messina. This is obviously a very, very general picture. As I was typing it, I was scared that people are starting to be medayik. It doesn't have to be with an empty space over here. Don't get excited. I'm talking only the nekudas that I'll mention are actually mishaneh. Yeah? 1 second. Noise. Okay, so now you have the two lines, right? Those two lines are treif. A Shtar with two empty lines and then Eidim, everything looks very nice and kosher. Ignore what's in the bottom over here. Now, this is treif. Why? Because such a Shtar invites danger. Because if you have two empty lines, then the last, you can add much more text over here and write that there's another extra million owed to you. And then you'll have the last line, the very last line, written very nice and frum and gut and frum, and written with a sikum. Then you kill the whole safety mechanism, right? Security. Therefore, we say two empty lines, treif, throw it in the garbage. You can't be goyve from the touch to start. Good morning.
It doesn't matter where the two empty lines are.
They're at the end. No, it doesn't matter. It should be at the end.
And we're
Shtar that looks good, that may look good once filled in, means you are now basically giving us something that's up to forgery, that can be easily forged in straight.
So there can't be two empty lines, period.
At the end of between the text and the chasimas. Let me finish 1 second, please. One second. Yeah. So now, what are we saying? Yeah, you can't have two empty lines. Bidiuk at the end. Between this and the Eidim, because you can add whatever you want. Now, if those two lines, how big should they be? Remember, should it be two with all the two margins, or two with one margin in the middle? And then we had one funny opinion. The last opinion was you can have one with a margin. So I was asking a question, what do you mean? You're saying one is treif? It's not true. If you have one shita left, yeah, then we said that it's not possible, right? Because you can't add new information on the last line. So then Shlomo said maybe one with a two margin is like two, is equivalent or something like that. Berach. So that I said doesn't make sense either, because we said the 1.5, we said also, we discussed it already before. So now I saw in the Shita Mekubetzes, and he says the follows. Remember that we said what size of text of potential text, how big should the lines be? Of the handwriting of Shimon or Reuven, of the Sofer who writes smaller, or the Eidim who writes bigger. That's always the given. And then we said, no, not the Sofer. The Sofer is not going to risk his career, his good name. Yes, some Sofrim have a good name, Baruch Hashem, and they want to keep it. Mashenken, when you have what? When you have the, whatchamacallit? Yeah, you should be choishesh to the big lines that can contain big text, yeah, larger text, larger font. Why? Because the Eidim, you may pay them and they would write, or you yourself are going to write, you the forger. So now he wants to say the Shita, the discipline that says one line and two margins, it's because he holds we are choishesh to the ksav yad of the soifer. So for the regular layman, one line with two small margins is what's contained by the Sofer two lines. The Sofer in that space can write two lines. He's an out-of-the-box opinion that says maybe you're choshesh even to the Sofer, which is very unlikely, but some Sofer, unfortunately, are not Yashar people, and therefore, that's it. Yeah, for money, some Sofer will do anything for money, from experience, and therefore, that's a business, okay? That's the problem here. Now, let's continue. Really. Omar Rav. Now Rav comes and says the follows. And now we're going to deal with a question that Alan was discussing last time. What do you do in modern day Shtaris? You put, when there's an empty space, and we're concerned that the person may add whatever he wants, matamim or madanim, to the text, right? And then, there will be the chasimas already written before. You go to the lawyer, there's a lot of empty space, you're going to take it home, type your own version of things, and look, the lawyer is signed underneath. How great, now everyone's going to believe me. So let's see how the Gemara deals with that. We're going, Imritz Hashem, Batzlocha, Rabbi Siyata Deshma. You see the two opinions, Rav and Rabbi Yochanan have a very extreme argument over here. Let's see. Omar Rav, Lo Yishanu Ela Ben Eidim L'Ksav. Between the Eidim and the Ksav, it's a problem. When you have between the Eidim, the aid and the ksav, between this and that, ben edim l'ksav, it's really a problem. You're not allowed to leave two lines or more empty. Yeah, because a person, this invitation to danger, the edim are written, you're not going to add one line mela, you're going to add whatever you want. That's strafe, that's possible. Yeah, let's put one big X over here to disqualify it. But aval ben edim la'ashroso, between the edim and the ashroso, look at that, but that's in the Charidis. Yeah. So between the text and the Eidim, trace, you can leave, you should not leave empty space, because if you want to, you can forge and add in whatever you want. There are a lot of zeros that can be added here. Mashain can says the Gemara, between the chasimas and the kiyum verification, yeah, in other words, the kiyum, the hechsher of Beis Din that says that this is a kosher shtar and the Eidim are kosher, between the Eidim and this, you may leave an empty space. Even if there's an empty space left, we're not concerned about that. That is okay. Wow. The question is, of course, why? So that's an X, and that's a tick. That is not good to leave, but if you have between the Eidim and the verification of the Beis Din, that's okay. I don't know if it's the Chatchila, but it's still a kosher shtar, and the question is, in French, salvos. As the Gemara is going to say now, between the Eidim and the writing that's above them, don't leave an empty space, trace, because you can add stuff. Treif, aval ben edim la'ashrasa, between the edim and the ashrasa. By the way, ashrasa is the same as kiyum. It's all the same words. Yeah, ashrasa. I'm quoting now exactly the Rabbeinu Gershom because I thought Ellen was asking. Says the Beis Din like that. Shtar the kanafik lekamono. This shtar, they're writing in the bottom. This shtar came to us, came out in front of us, came to our door, as they say. V'ashrinu v'kiyemunu. We verified it and we, how do you say, approved of it. It's a kosher shtar, pem, pum, stempel, badatz, and revubin together. Then afilu tuva nami kosher, between the edim and the verification of Beis Din, the hechsher, you can even leave a lot of lines, 4, 5, 6, yeah, whatever. Yeah, frag the Gemara, why? Why is that? My shna ben edim leksav. Why is it between the edim and the ksav in the top part? Then dilma mizayif v'kosav my deboyi. You can forge and add whatever you want in this piece. You can write whatever you want, and that's why it's treif. You're making fun of us, giving us something that's so potentially easily changeable and mezuyafable. Then, and the edim already written. Haha, you have ready-made edim. Ha, terrific. If so, yeah, sahadi, yeah, well, sahadi ben edim la'ashroso. If so, the second part also between the edim and the ashroso. Ashroso is the ishur, the kiyum. If so, nami mezayif because of my deboy v'chsimi sahadi. Same thing over here. Even though it's below the edim, and some people may tell me now, it's below the edim. So what? Most of the there's one opinion Shulchan Aruch discusses it, but from the Gemara and Rishonim, no, it sounds like you can add new information below the edim because look, here's the Badatz Echsher. The Badatz themselves, they saw the entire thing. That's already the Rebbeinu Gershom. They saw the whole thing and they signed over here. So this is very dangerous to leave this over here empty. Right? You're leaving a Badatz Echsher, yeah, in the hands of someone that can abuse it. He can write over here, and Bezin will say, the Bezin in the new place in Bnei Brak, let's say he wants to take it out in Bnei Brak. He'll say, what? There's an empty space. He'll say, Mapitom, look, the Badatz Yerushalayim, excuse me, if he wants to forge and fill in new information, he'll fill new information, and he'll say, how come it's over here? Who cares? Well, the Bezin Badatz Edach Haredis, very stark people, they signed it underneath, and they okayed everything, including this part. So why do you okay the empty space here? Of course you can forge it. It's even more dangerous. You have a hechsher from a Beis Din on an empty space. I'll give you a very good mashal. I don't work in kashrus. I miss Rav Simkin to come back. And what? Imagine yourself, the biggest shtus in the world, I think, that a mashgiach can do, correct me if I'm wrong, is if he has a restaurant or a factory owner who's not the biggest Yerei Shamayim, and in the olden days they had regular stamps of Badatz. Today it's a hologram and this and computerized. The regular old days, you have a Badatz temple. Imagine yourself, the Mashgiach leaving overnight the temple of the Badatz, the stamp of the Badatz, in the hands of Yaron. Cool, very nice. He'll take whatever he wants and stamp the Badatz on whichever product that he feels like, that he thinks is kosher enough. Yeah, could be chazer and cheeseburger also if they look good, if they look kosher. It's a joke. So that's exactly what you're doing here. It's mamish, it's a shanda. That's what the Gemara is asking. You're living in an empty space with the Badatz underneath. The guy will forge whatever he wants. Yeah, bedicha. Yeah. Okay, now we come. Oh, now we have to change this. Answers the Gemara. No. Answers the Gemara like this. The metayet lay. Metayet lay, according to most Rishonim, except for Rashba, means like this. Metayet means that he goes, okay, I don't know exactly the direction. Yeah, he does the Ellen thing. He actually draws lines one way or another, yeah, in a way that shows that you cannot write above that.
Who's that?
The Beis Din. The day he comes to Beis Din, yeah, and the shtar is metayet in a way that's even, according to some Rishonim in the Shita, it's even, it's like, no, like scratch embossed, yeah, like scratched in. Yeah, mamish like cut in. There are cuttings in the parchment or lines or dots that show that nothing can be written above that. Don't ask me about erasing, that will come later, okay? But conceptually, there's a line, like Ellen was suggesting, like in modern days, between here and here, we say that there's a line, there are lines over here that nothing can be written on, okay? And therefore, it's okay. There is no empty space. There are just dots and lines, that's all. And they're, dense enough that there's no text that can be written. In the Shtar's current matzav, no, you can't write anything there. And it's okay. Frag the Gemara, Ihachi, if so, wait a second. Hey, when the same Brisa talks, or Rav, the same Emra talks about this and that, they must be the same. So wait a second, this is arts and craft. If so, if we're speaking about the shtar that's metuyat, that is scratched over, if so, must be also the beginning of the statement was that, right? If you're not talking about empty, make up your mind. You're talking about empty or you're talking about with lines and dots? If you're saying there are lines and dots over here, and that's why it's okay, if so, there are lines and dots over here, so that should also be okay. What's the difference? Make up your mind. If they're empty, both are terrible. Invitation to danger, to ziyuf, to forgery. If they're both nicely dotted and scratched and lined up, then both should be okay. What's the difference? Why is this not okay and this is okay? Yeah, why above the edim is not good and above the badatz chasima it is good? What's the story? Let the Gemara talk instead of me. Yeah. Frag the Gemara, Ihachi, A, Aleph, Hey. Line starts with the word Bain. Bain Edim L'Shtar, Nami Mitayatle. So same thing. Between the Edim L'Shtar, also make it, you're talking obviously that is Mitayat, that there are lines and dots between the top part, between the Edim, between the real text and the Edim. So why do you say that over there it's not good? Answers the Gemara, Amri, they say, they answer, excuse me, Sahadi, Edim, Atiuta hu dechasimi. And therefore, which means that Atiuta dechasimi means sometimes Eidim sign, and they sign, those people, first aid and second aid, they sign only their signature, they think, they mean that their signature only relates to the lines and dots, or the flowers, Tam Rishonim say. You may think the Gemara is saying something very Chalila crazy. What? Whoa, what's going on here? Says Rashbam something very simple. Sometimes a regular guy, comes to the two Eidim, Reuven and Shimon, first aid and second aid, first aid and Chevra Kadisha, the two Eidim, and he tells them, you know, guys, look, I have the Shtar. Don't look what's over here. That's not relevant. Look, I really have an issue here that there was empty space, and I dotted and I lined it up and I erased it. I sort of filled it in with lines, and it doesn't look so good in Beis Din. I want you to sign that this is okay. I want you to sign on the fact that the erosion, the whatever, the stuff over here is really fine and there's nothing funny. You are two very frum people. Beis Din know you and Beis Din approve of you. Please sign me that this is okay that I erased. Of course, that's a shtus on their side to do it. Why? Because basically they obviously should not put their name and sign on something which contains a lot of things, right? But some people do. The Gemara brings down in Gittin a very, very, I would say even funny case. A person writes, and this is mamish related to us, and a lot of Rishonim bring it down. A person writes a get to his wife, and at the end of the get, he writes nice words. He writes Drishas Shalom.
I love you too.
Yeah, no, yeah, whatever. It was nice. Just didn't work for us. I hope you get it nicer with a nicer guy, whatever, etc. In French, it's called amicable divorce. Yeah, amicable divorce, etc. So then what? So now some Eidim are foolish enough to write the get, and they only mean that they're made on his nice text. They're made that he really loves you. Yeah, I love you and leave you. Yeah, as they say. Yeah, they're made on that Aitzeshtus. Now I have to eat mehet, because the Rashbam says something against what I said a few days ago. I'm stuck. Beginning of the week. I said Eidim cannot be complete Amaratzim. Eidim have to know what's going on, right? You can't be made on Chassan if you have no idea what Kiddushin are. And I did not, believe me, I didn't dream it up at night. I remember it from somewhere. And here the Rashbam and others, or Ben Gershom and others, they say sometimes Eidim are Amaratzim. Because Eidim are Meratzim, some of them may even be Meratzim, because conceptually every kosher person who is frum and not gambling and not goizel, not tzechir shvis and not evadoraisa, stamezoi, a person is kosher. So therefore could be of Eidim are Meratzim, and because of that they may sign on the wrong part of the text. They get a whole text to sign, and they only sign thinking really that their signature only relates to one part. So therefore over here we say it's possible. Why? Because again, you wrote the tiyut, but your Eidim are actually not made on anything real. That's why we're choishish. If it's empty, you may come to forge. Here you're not going to come to forge, but then you're actually, it's here you have two texts. Yeah, in other words, let's say you have, I'll give you, that get, by the way, is possible. That get is possible. Let's say you have a star, and here at the end of the star, you have another star. You know the joke? Not the guy wants to sell his Mazda, and also his father was nifter. He doesn't have money for a big, you notice. So it says, Daddy died, Mazda for sale. Yeah, Aravago and this Mazda for sale in the same, Chaper Hein, two for the price of one. So some people write a star with mechira of $10 million, and also they write another star about something else, a whole different story that is Megarsh's wife. Something else. Such a star is also possible. Because we don't know, maybe the Eidim were made on only one part and not the other, as long as the two parts are completely irrelevant. The Chiddush of the Gemara is even Tiyut, even Mechika is like another Shtar. Having a Mechika, or pictures of flowers, is Kilo Eidim made, that this part is okay. There's nothing funny or shoddy or zeal for Mechika written here, like Eidim are made on Mechika, as we saw. Therefore, we say, if the Eidim over here sign of the text with empty, treif, that's invitation to any kind of forgery. But even if you have this, that's not forgery. We believe the guy, so what? But maybe the Eidim are only made on the lines and they're not made on the actual text. Please allow me to finish, and then I'll hear your questions. Frag the Gemara, the obvious question, Yachi, if so, then, Frag the Gemara, Ben Eidim, the line started with Sahadi. Ben Eidim Lashrosa Nami Amri, yeah. Maybe Beidin Atyutahu de Chasimi. If you say that people sign on just the Tyuta on the dotted lines, why are you approving this one? Maybe the Badatz only verified the fact that this is okay, the Tyuta. Says the Gemara, Bezdin are not stupid. And says the Gemara, Beidin Atyuta lo Chasimi, Nekuda. Bezdin did not sign over Tyuta without realizing that their signature is on the entire thing. When the Badatz Ed Haredi signs the name on a cottage cheese, they make sure that every ingredient is kosher mehadri, not half of them, right? And therefore the Badatz over here with their chasima, they obviously are made on what? On everything. They're not made only on the kishkush, on the scribble at the end that it's okay. I make sense also, but not only, they know that it relates to everything and refers to everything above their signature. And therefore this is okay, as long as it's, as long as it's scratched over, scraped, whatever. Mashain can here, it is a problem. Maybe the Eidim are made only on this, only empty, not empty, on the dotted lines and not on the text above. Okay, question. Frag the Gemara. Now the Gemara is asking a question. V'leichush, we have 4 lines before the bottom of the page. Kuf samach gimel amdalef. Maybe we should be concerned. Dil magaizle le'ela. Maybe he will cut the top part. He'll cut. Let's cut. He'll cut the top part with the Eidim. Look how I do. Imagine yourself I'm cutting with scissors. Yeah, and look what I have here. Dilma guys leila ligzoz, you may cut the top part of the page. Then he's going to erase this. You know what he has in his hands now? He only has the blank space, yeah, that has all these nice lines. He cut everything, the text and the original Eidim who were kosher. And now this is like your own that has a very nice meat factory, and the Badatz left him like a kid in a candy store. They left him the Chosemes Badatz, the Stempel of Badatz, in his hands. Yoo-hoo! Yeah, Purim, yeah. Nichnas Laudar Marbin B'Simcha. This guy has an empty paper with nice 4 or 5 lines, yeah, and there's verification of Badatz. He may erase everything. Yeah, everything. And guys, machik le'tiuta, he's going to erase all these lines and dots and flowers. The cost of my debai, he may write whatever he wants. Umachtim sahadi, he will find the Eidim also to Chasman what he writes. Yeah, in other words, he's going to write that someone owes $1 million, basically. Nothing even to do with the original text. Stam. Stam, he has an empty paper with Badatz. No. He finds
hijacking the bottom.
He's hijacking the bottom. I don't know how Schwindler they are to sign somebody. Yeah, whatever. He Schwindler because the other side is not there. I can write you owe me $1 million and there's verification, but that's Jeffrey owes me $1 million and I'm going to find 2 Eidim. I'll pay them a little bit. Let's say the Schwindlers. Okay, there are Schwindlers. And they'll sign you. It's verified by Badatz. Look how nice, yeah? V'machtim sadi v'omar, yeah? And you may say, wait, it's erased. Something that's erased, maybe it's strafe. Maybe because Bezdin can see that something is erased, it's klaf, it's parchment. Parchment that's erased, you can tell, you can see, but Sefer Torah, right, doesn't look good. But says the Gemara, no. The Gemara is only asserting the problem. The Gemara is only digging deeper into the problem, stating the Shtar haba uve'edav ala mechak. If you have a Shtar, the both Shtar and the Eidim, he writes $1 million, somebody owes me. And you have Reuven, the Shimon, the Eidim. If this is written on erased paper, kosher. If everything is written on the same level of mechak, it's kosher. In other words, if somebody comes, Rav says, when I come to Beis din with a shtar, with a loiva, whoever, with a shtar, the shtar says so-and-so owes me money, if the entire shtar plus the edim are all written on the same level of mechak, the Gemara will discuss later if it's erased twice or once, Beis Din can tell how many times it was erased. The same level of erasing was both the text and the edim. So what if it was erased? It's at Kita Aleph, the teacher wants you to come with a pristine, clean notebook. What makara? He had a shtar at home. He doesn't have much money. He erased everything. Maybe that's his daughter's workbook from school. And now he writes everything new with text and edim. That alone is okay, be'etzem. Because it's okay, mimele, we should be choishesh, which means if you now have the shtar with the edim on erased area and you have the bedatz chasima in the bottom, oy vavoy. This is Mamish Bedat Stempel by the guy who owns the meat factory. Mal Kohen, what's going on over here? Yeah, that's a question. Maybe how do you allow such a thing? Hanicha. Now the Gemara finishes off the question. You okay? You're fine. Hanicha kuf samech gimel amud beis. Hanicha Rav Kahana dematni la mishmei Shmuel. Rav Kahana learned the first statement on behalf of Shmuel, and therefore, according to Rav Kahana, it's not a problem. Why? Because if you notice, both statements are whose? Rav. Look, Rav, the top thing, Rav. Rav is the one who says that if you have an empty space over here, it's okay. And Rav is also the one who says that if you have mechak, if you have erased parchment with edim, it's also okay. We say, oy vavoy, you're okaying everything, balagan, hefker. So that's a problem. But if you say that one of the statements, the first one is Shmuel, Shapir, then it's okay. Shmuel says that to leave the empty space is okay as long as there are dotted lines. And Shmuel would also tell you that you cannot erase it because Shmuel holds that erased parchment is possible. Very good. And Rav says the other way, then it's fine. Ela Rav Tavyumi, but according to Rav Tavyumi, the matnilo, according to Rav Tavyumi that learns it, Mishmei de Rav Tavyumi believes that both statements are Rav. Michael Amemar, what's going on over you? What could he say? Get the question. Same question. We just asserted that both statements are Rav. Rav is the one who okays this. Rav who says, yeah, it's fine, no problem. You have an empty space over here with dots and lines and pictures and flowers or whatever, whatever, something in between, no problem. It's erased, it's fine. It's not erased. It's marked as lines, fine, it's okay. And Rav is also the one who says the what? That if I have a shtar with everything mochuk, everything erased, and have the edim there, then it's also okay. Hey, put two and two together, Rav. What's going on over here? Because if you have an erased one that's kosher, and now you have the bedatz underneath, then the chashash, what's a chashash? A bedatz signed and something treif. You're leaving it with a, yeah, it's like the meat factory with the bedatz shempel in their hand. The Rishonim ask here a very big question. The Rishonim say, this is a good question. However, wait a second. This question can apply to any shtar with kiyum. Ellen, what did you say before? And you, Tzvi, said, let's have the text written very nice and dense with, the right dense. Very, very nicely written. What?
Single space.
Single space, very nicely spaced, very right equilibrium, everything good. In Word documents, you can have many ways to space the thing. And then you have underneath the chasimas and then the kiyum. It's also a problem. Any shtar that has kiyum underneath is a problem. You'll erase everything very nicely. The whole thing, you'll erase all the entire parchment, and you'll be left with this in the bottom. There is another solution to have handpick in a different shtar. Yeah, then it wouldn't happen. Yeah, because that's like the Badatz holding their own thing. That's like the Mashgiach, Shlomo Zalman Totorovsky, he holds the Shtempel in his hand, that's fine. A separate handpick. But if you have the handpick, not the handpick, the Ashrata, the Dayani, over here, you can erase everything. So Rashbam says, En Chinami. Rashbam says it's a taina on Rav in general, not only over here. The Tosfos says another answer. Let's look at Tosfos, the first dibur, or the first dibur, Maschil, in Kuf Samech Gimel Amud Beis. Hanicha l'Rav Kahana Mishmei Shmuel. Frag the Gemara, Koshe, del dida minicha im ken kol shtar mikuyam yimchekenu. Right? In other words, every shtar that's mukuyam, not my question, that is, any shtar that has kiyum underneath, a person will erase everything, rub off everything, and write his own fantasy that so-and-so, the Bill Gates owe me 10 million, that's not so much for him. Yesh loimar, answer Tosfos, as opposed to Rashbam, he says, no, it's not just an example. He says, he says like this, It's not so difficult. Regarding other shtaros, it's not so difficult. Why? Something that was really written with real text, it's hard to erase it without leaving any mark, any trace behind. Maybe modern technology is different, but yet to have klaf that has the whole text written over there, all Maisa, ever happened to you in Kita Aleph, you write the whole thing and then it's nicker what's written before. Yeah. So therefore, there it's not such a chashash. But if these are only dots or lines, it's much easier. If you don't have letters, aleph, base, gimel, you only have dots and lines, it's much easier. Dots, lines, it's not so nicker what was there before, because it's not something intelligible. Yeah, that's the idea. And of that, Tosfos continues, but that's what Tosfos answers. Bekitzer, we have a question on Rav. Why aren't you concerned, Rav? You are two statements cause one problem, L'choira. He has here whatever he wants, and here's Badat's verification. Answers the Gemara. Kasava, third line from the top. Kasava, Rav thinks, Kol Gavna, En Mekayim Nosim Nashratza Shaboy, Elim in Eidim Shaboy. Answers the Gemara, Enachinami. A shtar that has a mechak, a shtar that has a mechika, you don't rely on Nashrasa. It's that simple. A shtar that's erased, I said it's okay. I didn't say that both statements are up together are okay. I'm okay with something that can be erased, yes. And I'm okay with something erased with Eidim. And I'm okay with an empty Ashrasa with the dotted lines. But all of them together, meaning if I have erased shtar with Eidim on the erased area, and in the bottom I have Badats, I don't rely on the Badats. I'm not that stupid. In that case, I will combat the problem very easily. I based in, do it everyone. I will not trust. What should I do? Mina Eidim Shaboy. I'll actually ask him to invite the Eidim in person to Beis Din and tell them to actually verify their own chasimos. Yeah, to verify their own chasimos, to say that they really wrote, this on that. Now, Jeffrey may be asking if they're liars, they're going to lie that it's them and the whole thing is right. I don't know. Maybe they're not. That's a bit of a problem. Yeah. In other words, could be that those Eidim are going to be made that this is their chasima. Maybe they'll be scared to lie in Beis Din. To lie in Beis Din is different. Mistama, that's a pshat. To lie to your friend, do me a favor, give me some money. But to go to Beis Din with shvua and everything and swear, Sefer Torah and Eresh Chayrim, Mistama, that far they're not going to go. Maybe the other answers, I don't know, it didn't occur to me until now. But to invite the Eidim is definitely much more than actually just to have the Badats there. Usually Badats is better. This case Badats is worse. Because Badats over erased area, we're choshesh. This is erased, Badats is not. Then you don't rely on them. That's the solution. Okay. Says the Gemara, here comes the other opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan Omar. Rabbi Yochanan is in a way the other way. Lo shonu el ben eidim laksav. The only issue when you have two lines, and that's a problem, is between eidim and ksav. Eidim and ksav is a problem to have two lines. Let's repeat again. Why? Anybody can tell me? Why having two empty spaces between the text and the eidim is an issue? It can be mezayef. How would he be mezayef? The first line, what will he put? Whatever he wants. That so-and-so owes me gazillion. And in the second line, which is the real last line, he'll do the sikum, he'll do the summary, as he learns very nicely in Basra. You can do. Thank you very, very much. So that is an issue only when you have two lines. When you have one empty space, is that a problem or not? Don't worry, I'm not forhearing you. I'm just trying to, When you have one line between the text and Eidim, is that a problem? Empty line? No, because you cannot add new information there. Last line, by definition, means only a summary. If you add something new in the last line, it just won't be accepted. So that alone is a security measure. What about the area between the Eidim and the Ashrasa, the Dayani? The issue, the Hechsher. Continues the Gemara. Aval ben Eidim la'ashrasa, between Eidim la'ashrasa, it's much more severe. Afilu shita achas pasul. Wow. Even having one empty line is already a problem. Yoo-hoo. Wow. Frag the Gemara. Why? One line empty. Yeah, Ellen, you said what if they're condensed? That's the best. There's one empty space that can host another line of text written by the Eidim, let's say. One line should already be treif between the Eidim and the issue of the Beis Din. Farvos. Frag the Gemara, the obvious question, why between the Edim and the Ashrosa, between the Edim and the Ashrosa, you know why there's a problem between the Edim over here and the Isha, which is all the way down, the verification of Beis Din. Dil Megayz La'iloi is going to cut everything. Look at me. Is going to cut the entire story, including Edim. He's going to cut and have like this. Again, same chashash. Look what he has. Look how nice. I tricked the system. He's going to have one line empty with badats, chsimus badats, and deal megayz liloy because of who the eidov b'shita achas. We're concerned he's going to add his own fantasy. I always thought the guy down the road has too much money, big house and 3 cars. Nobody's going to care. Even Hashem won't mind if I write that he owes me $1 million shekel. Really, won't even touch his pocket. Don't look at me like that, okay? I'm joking, by the way. It's in YouTube. I'm joking. Yeah. So a rabbi found fortune. So let's say I can write in one. It's a large star. I can write in one line. So owes me $1 million shekel, and to aid him here. Look, so nice. To aid him in the same line. What? Everything will be written. Yistadel. B'yoim zeh v'zeh so I lent him $1 million. He was mischad $1 million. Reuven ben Shimon Eid, Shimon ben Kokorovsky Eid. Yeah. So bein edim la'ashos edim magazlov kotov v'deh b'shita achas v'kasoval. And Rabbi Yochanan thinks that what shtar habo hu ve'edo b'shita achas is shtar that comes only one line. It's a condensed shtar. Like Abdul Chaim Kanievsky's answers, yeah? Ever saw them? Very, very short, yeah? One word, bua, yeah, that's it. One line contains everything, kosher. If so, wait a second. Are you so choshesh that one line can contain it all? Say it all in one line? If so, and that's why choshesh, you have the text and the edim, and the badats never saw the edim. But it looks like they did. It's kosher. That's why choshesh. Hey, if so, why aren't you choshesh the same thing over here? Why did you say that why did you all say that having one line between, not two, one line between the text and the edim is fine? Why? He'll cut it. Forget about sikum, shmikum, and all that. Look, he'll do the same over here. He's going to do like that. That's a bit harder to, use my arts and crafts talents. Yeah, look what he'll do. Yeah, you'll have one line with what? You'll have one line with 2 edim over here. You'll have one line with 2 edim over here. In other words, he'll cut the top. Because of my boy, he'll write his financial fantasy, the Chasimi Sahadi, and his edim, and the edim can sign. Yeah. In other words, you don't even, in the Havamina, we say you don't even have to have edim over here. Look, you already have them. The edim really sign all kinds of things before. You're going to have one line over here with your $1 million, and the edim already made. Look how nice. Good for me. Yeah. And sometimes there's Qum also underneath. And says the Gemara, no. And here comes the Gemara with a very, very funny chiluk which we have to understand. Kasova, he thinks like this. Shtar ba'u b'shita achas. When you have one line with edim, one line of text, he owes me $1 million. With edim, that's a chash over here, and then you have the badats, that's a problem. To have one text of information and edim at the end of it, and then having the chsima over here, that is a problem, because it's kosher. Because it's kosher, it could be good forgery. Mashenkin over here, as I quickly corrected myself before, he already has edim. He has edim here. He wants to write one liner over here, one text, all the way to the end, more millions and more shtusim, and then he has the edim. A shtar that consists of 2 lines, one line of information and one line of edim, that's possible. Oh, you can ask why, and it also asks why, but that's what the Gemara says. What? What's that? There is no sikum. There's no sikum is only when there's a lot of things to say. If Rav Chaim Kanievsky tells you treif, there's nothing much to be mesakim. Yeah, that's it. If you write one line that says it all, no sikum, no shmikum, no information, and then you have edim, says no, it's not a chragram, not a chashash. You know why not? Because such a shtar that contains one line of no edim, information, and then you have edim, that is the chatchila treif shtar. It's possible. Mimela, we're not concerned about it, and it's okay to have the empty space. I don't know why, and that is an issue I have, and we're going to discuss it today and tomorrow. Let the Gemara just finish one more chashash, one more hole we want to fill in. The Gemara, he's not stupid. You know what he's going to do? He's going to put here Adim also. He's going to have one line with Adim, so it's kosher. One line with Adim, and also the Adim underneath. He's going to have both. And then the Omar is going to say, I have so many Eidim? No, L'rabos be'edim u'de'avdi. No, don't worry. I just wanted to have more Eidim. Such a kosher shtar. Oh, it's so short. I wanted to have 2 Eidim over here. Why does he want 2 Eidim over here? Because he wants it to be kosher. To have all the text over here and Eidim here, we from some reason puzzled. He knows that he's a Tom Chochem, the forger. Now he wants to have the Eidim at the end, probably pays them good money. And those Eidim also are not going to be Mekayim in Beis Din, Jeffrey, because why? They're scared of Beis Din. Now, and he's going to have them, and they are verified. They'll come to Beis Din and say, yes. Now Beis Din will ask him, excuse me, mister, why do you have Eidim both here and there? Suspicious? No, I wanted to have more Eidim, more kosher. 2 over here, and I didn't have much paper. I'm a poor guy. Mimela, everything's going to look good, and we'll be Mekayim these Eidim, and they'll say, yes, we signed. Yeah, or at least we know it's a signature. Yeah, Mimela, it's a chashash, and says the Gemara, Kasava. Again, he just puzzles it. Kasava kolke gavna en mekayim inoisim edim shalamata edim edim shalamala. Now says Rabbi Yochanan, okay, it's a good case. I'll puzzle that case. Some people say, don't do X, maybe you'll do Y. I'll puzzle Y, which means in such a case, when I have half a line text, then half a line Eidim, and more Eidim underneath, I will make sure to what? To only be Mekayim, not Lamata, Elam Lamala. I'll purposefully, because I'm concerned with people doing it, I'll ignore those. No, don't invite them to Beis Din. Invite them to Beis Din. And anyway, you can't invite them bichlal, because a shtar with one shura with Eidim at the end is possible. I'm ignoring the 2 Eidim at the bottom because I'm concerned of your chashash. Mimei Rabbi Yochanan too is foolproof. Now, the question is, of course, I would summarize a bit what we learned today. It's a handful. But before I summarize, I have to admit that I learned the Rashba many times and I didn't get it. Why is it really so? Why is it that when you have one line with Eidim, let's see over here, one line with Eidim is kosher. One line of text, $1 million today in gold bars, and he owes me his house in the Ale. And then Eidim over here, we say that's kosher. And when you have one line and Eidim underneath, it's not kosher. And one line shtar with Eidim at the end is good. Eidim underneath is not good. I'm not sure why. Yeah, in other words, well, we're assuming things. Ram says something which I read a few times, but I did not really understand why saying it. I looked at other Rishonim. I did not see any clear answer. That's my homework. Every day I have homework. Yeah, back to school. The Rashbam says, look at the first wide line. The first wide line in Rashbam, and then I'll hear your questions. Rashbam, the first wide line says the end of the first wide line in Rashbam. I think the reason Shaldovo. Why the difference? You know why him and the Eidim in one line is kosher? Rabbanan and Shtar Gadol and Shtar Koton. Rabbanan did not differentiate between a big shtar and a small shtar. She had Koton posel and a Gadol. We don't want the small shtar to be more posel than the big one. Just like a big shtar with a lot of text, you can have Eidim at the end of the line, and that's okay. The small shtar, the one-liner, should be the same. But if the entire shtar is on one line, no Eidim, and underneath is a second line of Eidim, it's a 2-line shtar. One line, text, information, and then Eidim underneath, that's possible. Yeah? And then he goes on to explain, because of that, the differences in the Gemara occur. But he's not saying why. Why here we say, okay, a small one should be as good as a big one, and here we don't say a small one shouldn't be as good as a big one. Not sure. So by the time mainly goes, now he talks about the application, not about the reason. To me, it's still a mystery, which I have to find out. I would summarize a bit what we learned, but let's first hear the question. Yes, Alan?